Hey, what's up, guys? Boomer here. Let's take a look at the lore of Starfield we know so far. First up, we got the year 2050. Humans first arrive on Mars. That's a big one. Think about it. Humanity is on Mars down the road. We're at what, 2023, and at 2050, we arrive on Mars. Early space exploration, new ships. We got some parallels here with the Artemis program with NASA. We got progression of humanity going into space farther than we've ever gone before. So I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, we're going to Mars. We're obviously going for resources, for exploration. We're going to check the place out to see what Mars is all about. But why are we living in space? What happened to Earth by year 2100? What happened? I have big questions here for the timeline. I'm sure we're going to get these answers in the story early on for what may have happened to Earth, but that's a huge question here for this timeline bullet. During the Starfield Direct, we got a quick glimpse of Earth and presumably the Gateway Arch in St. Louis, Missouri. Checking out this picture here, I see a lot of destruction here. I see the ground is pretty broken up here. Kind of maybe a clue to what may have happened to Earth, but we see a lot of damage. It doesn't look like there are a lot of people hanging out on Earth right now, but that would explain why we're living in space by the year 2100. The question is, what kind of disaster happened here? Next up, we got year 2156. Humans arrive in Alpha Centauri. Man, we got some major advancements in technology. Got traveling 4.37 light years away from the solar system.
Man, that's a long way.
Holy moly.
And it's like they're using the actual distances we have measured in space between stars. And it's like, dude, this is insane. This is insane. But you can tell our technology is advanced. We're able to travel beyond the current limits of our solar system, which implies that we've expanded in our current solar system a bit. It also implies that we have mastered the grab jumps we see on the screen in the Starfield Direct. So now here are some of the bigger questions here. What drove humanity to Alpha Centauri? Was it just purely for exploration? Were we running out of resources? Were we looking for a better place to live? We already saw what happened to Earth, so obviously we're looking for options to continue our species as humanity now that the Earth is considerably barren. Next up, we got year 2159. The United Colonies are formed on Alpha Centauri. So we learned from the Starfield Direct that the United Colonies believe that they are the true children of Earth. Also, they value law, legacy of humanity, and discipline. So we're seeing a lot of government vibes from the United Colonies. So my biggest question there, I'm sure we'll find out in the story. Obviously, this is going to be something we're going to find out a lot about when the game comes out. But the biggest question we raised here, what prompted this government-style faction to show up? Was this a little bit of lawless space going on? Piracy, maybe? I thought it was pretty interesting, though. Next up, we got a quick turnaround. In the year 2160, New Atlantis is founded on Alpha Centauri, becoming the capital city in year 2161. So now humanity has gone from living in space to now being fully established on Jemison with New Atlantis. Next, we have year 2167, where Aquila City is made, and we can see where some of the humans are starting to move out of United Colony space. What prompted Solomon Coe to leave the United Colony space? I believe there may be a little bit of conflict of interest here between what may be the law and discipline of the United Colonies and some people that may just want to live independently and free. In the year 2188, we see where Solomon Coe invites the Valise system to join Cheyenne to form the Free Star Collective. Now the question is, what prompted this alliance? Were there tensions with the United Colonies over their invasive practices of discipline and law, potentially? Maybe it was all about independence, freedom, and maintaining those values? We know from the Starfield Direct that some items that you may find in the Free Star Collective space may be considered contraband in the United Colonies.
So what they selling? What was going on with the fish over there? Are we gonna talk about that? Maybe next time, but I was just wondering what was going on with the dancing. It seemed like there was some activities happening here.
But I digress. I do believe that this was based upon maintaining independence and freedom. So we see the Freestar Collective is trying to maintain, hey, we want to do our own thing. We want to live our own way. And the United Colonies may not have been down with that. Tensions rising, perhaps? Tensions rise in year 2194 as the United Colonies build a new star station in the Narian system. This causes the people of the Narian system to join the Freestar Collective. So there's a lot going on here.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on.
So in turn, the people of the Narian system asked the United Colonies to remove the new star station, which is named the Clinic, by the way, from their system. And the United Colonies was like,
nah, bruh. We gonna stick around here a little bit. We gonna hang out. But you know what happened next? It's kind of wild. You see, in the year 2196, the conflict took off. United Colonies was like, hey man, we hanging out. We gonna be relaxing. We chilling. This is our space now. Freestar Collective was like, hey man, you guys to go. They signed up. They signed the waiver. You gotta go.
Let's just say it got a little chippy. The Freestar Collective pulled up a fleet. The United Colonies pulled up a fleet. It was like, yo, it's about to go down. So now as a species, humanity has gone from potentially searching for survival and facing extinction to now fighting over territory in known space. Wild stuff, man. Wild stuff. So in the year 2216, this Narian war has been fought for 20 years.
It's a long time, bruh. It's a long time.
Ma, they still fighting. They still fighting, Ma. They still fighting.
That's pretty much what the public was saying. So the public sentiment kind of soured towards the war. So now both factions are looking to sign a treaty. So they ended up signing the Treaty of Narian. Now the question remains, what were the terms of the treaty? Did they have borders? Were there terms and conditions?
Was there a waiver? A waiver, maybe?
Just curious, but I do believe that there were some terms about not expanding borders. We're gonna see that here in a little bit. So we see in the year 2221, the Freestar Rangers are founded for the Freestar Collective to protect all of their citizens. So we're seeing where they're trying to protect their ideals of independence and freedom against what we would assume to be the United Colonies. So does this imply that the United Colonies aren't out for their people? Or what's going on here? Was that some animosity still from the war? Perhaps. But it is a treaty signed, so there's a lot of peace going on. Looks like that things are settling down. Next up, in the year 2275, Constellation is formed by Sebastian Banks. The original members included Chloe Bayo, accomplished physicist, Aja Mamasa, the youngest member and Sebastian's protege, Darius Andrus, a botanist and a specialist in xenoflora, Bernadette Laurent, wealthy heiress and adventurer, Everardo Gill, former smuggler, and Kadri Toma, biologist and physician. This is also where the lodge is built in New Atlantis to serve the needs of the people of Constellation for future generations to come. So there was a lot going on here with Constellation where they set up the shop, they set up the new lodge, but there was a lot of people from different backgrounds showing up for Constellation here to explore, which I thought was pretty cool. Big questions here. Why was the Constellation built in New Atlantis? Why didn't they choose the Freestar Collective or any of the other factions that may have been roaming around the galaxies here? Or the settled systems, if you will. Now, it also states that the lodge is built to serve members of Constellation in the future. Does the lodge have technology that's not available everywhere else? So now that Constellation is formed, we have a really big one on the timeline. In 2305, Barrett joins Constellation. So you can see that Barrett is the most tenured member of Constellation that we can see in present day Starfield, but why is he not the leader of Constellation? Big questions here. Could it be that he deferred to Sarah Morgan? Or is there something more? By the way, what's Barrett's last name? Hello?
Hello?
So So next up on the timeline, we see where the Freestar Collective starts farming on Vesta, and they're accused of breaking the treaty by the United Colonies. That's a lot, because think about it. This treaty has been active for 91 whole years. That's a long time. It's a lot of peace. But now there's more fighting.
Now there's more bloodshed. Now there's more waivers.
It's a lot.
But I will say this though, what made the Freestar Collective start farming? Were they looking for more resources? Were they looking to branch out a little bit? What caused this? What caused them to break the treaty in a way? Did it really break the treaty, or was it an excuse for the United Colonies to start a fight again? Who knows? We'll find out soon, I'm sure, but there's some big questions here. This essentially starts the Colony War, where it's a big fight between the Freestar Collective and the United Colonies. So this is a big highlight on the timeline. Next is another big item on the timeline. Constellation comes into contact with their first artifact, and they tuck it away in the Constellation archives. Now the question here is, why did they have to tuck it away? Why did they have to protect it? Were they under attack, or was somebody trying to take it? Big questions, more big questions. All getting prepared for Starfield, more big questions. Next up, in year 2311, after several years of conflict, we see the colony war effectively come to an end at the Battle of Cheyenne. So we see where the Freestar Collective is using hit and run tactics to cripple the United Colony Navy. So it's more like run and gun style. It looks like they're doing a little bit of guerrilla warfare, if you will, in space. So now they're using tactics with civilian ships, and they're taking out the United Colony's major forces. So what caused it to end here? It seems like both factions are pretty much still set in place. There's not necessarily a surrender. What happened here? What was the story here? So in response to this, in year 2315, the UC, or the United Colonies, formed the Vanguard. So they're now using civilian ships in their own fleet to try to take out anybody that tries to, I guess, take out UC citizens. So you can see they kind of copycatted the Freestar Collective a little bit, but we still see where both factions have a considerable force, and it's not necessarily a surrender. I don't know. I really feel like in this situation that they kind of wore each other down, where they didn't have a lot of resources left. I feel like we're going to see a lot of battlegrounds, or, you know, broken up ships, as they said, derelicts maybe, hanging out in space that we can go check out. I really feel like that's going to be a thing in Starfield, but we'll see soon. So next up, we have the year 2319, where Sarah Morgan leaves the United Colony Navigator Corps to join Constellation. So we see where the United Colonies appears to be readjusting some of their resources, and it looks like they shut down the Navigator Corps, which was primarily based on exploration. So with Sarah Morgan not being able to explore, it looks like she joined up with Constellation. But the question is, who recruited her? Who recruited Sarah Morgan? Was it Barrett? Also, another note here, how many of the original Constellation members are left at this point? Now we see where another member of the present day Constellation joins up in year 2321, where Walter Stroud joins up. Now Walter Stroud obviously is the financial backer of Constellation here. Was Constellation in shambles? Once again, I ask, where are the original members? Was everything broken apart? Were things falling apart? Obviously money talks, and you need money to do things. Were they rebuilding the lodge? Did they run out of money, or did some of the other members potentially not make it through the colony war? Big questions. As the timeline continues, we see a lot of recruitment happening here for Constellation. We see where Vladimir Saul joins Constellation, Sarah Morgan becomes the acting chair of Constellation, and Theo Mateo also joins up with Constellation. So a lot of people are joining Constellation, and things are growing here. Remember that artifact that Constellation put away in the corner in the Constellation archives? Well, in year 2326, Barrett found it. So big things are happening for Constellation. So as the recruitment continues, we see where Noel is also recruited to Constellation by Sarah Morgan. Now we got some even bigger, heavy hitters coming into Constellation, and it's taking full form. The recruits just keep rolling in. We got Freestar Ranger Sam Coe and his daughter Cora joining Constellation. Now, Sam Coe is a descendant of Solomon Coe from the Freestar Collective. Real interesting stuff here. A lot of different backgrounds are joining into Constellation, all for the sake of exploring. Next up, In the year 2328, we have Andrea joining Constellation. Now, her past seems to be a bit mysterious, but she appears to be quite the navigator and astronomer. This information was actually posted on the Starfield Twitter page, which was kind of cool for me to find, but there's a lot of mystery where there's some clandestine vibes here, so she may potentially be a spy. But it appears that Vladimir Saw is one of her key allies, so that may have been their end. That may have been a recruiter. We'll find out soon. But that rounds out Constellation. Also in the year 2328, Barrett convinces Constellation to purchase a Star Station L868, nicknamed the Eye, for further exploration. So Constellation has made a full comeback, and now they're on the move. So what we see here next is now we're at present day Starfield on the timeline. So we see a really big journey in the lore and a lot going on leading up to the start of the game. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for more Starfield content coming your way. Don't forget, I got a 24-hour stream for Starfield coming up on September the 1st, starting around 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to check out the game early and you don't have early access, feel free to stop by with my link below for Twitch. Also, have a great day, and I'll see you guys on the flip side. I'll see you in the stars, Spacefarers. Peace.